Hey everybody, I'm back. Finishing the lesson on complex zeros, part 2. This is only 3 slides, so it's short. And I also posted a do now that you need to complete and submit, okay? Hoping we can do a Zoom meeting tomorrow so I can check in with everybody. All right, so in this problem, you see I have a cubic function and can't use the quadratic formula, and I also didn't give you a 0, but in these instances it's easy to find a 0 because I can see that if I substitute in 2 for x, that does give me 0. So I can see that one of my zeros is 2, which means I can do synthetic. And then I'm going to get 0, which I should. I'm left with x squared plus 2x plus 4, which I can't factor, so I have to use the quadratic formula. So that's going to give me negative 2 plus or minus square root of 4 minus 4 times 1 times 4 all over 2. And that's going to simplify to negative 2 plus or minus square root of negative 12 over 2, which is negative 1. Oh, I don't want to do that yet. That's going to give me negative 2 plus or minus 2i radical 3 over 2. And then this simplifies to negative 1 plus or minus I radical 3. Okay, so that means my zeros are 2 and negative 1 plus or minus I radical 3. My factors are x minus 2. And remember, it's always x minus my 0. So this, my second one's going to be x minus negative 1 plus I radical 3 and x minus negative 1 minus I radical 3. So I can simplify these. So that's going to give me x minus 2. And then I'm going to distribute the negative. So that gives me x plus 1 minus I radical 3. And here I'm going to distribute the negative also. X plus 1 plus I radical 3. Okay, and I should have 3 factors. And I do because it's cubic. And I have my 3 zeros here. Okay, moving on to the next slide. Here's also cubic, but I gave you a 0 at 2. So I have 1, 0, negative 1, and negative 6. Okay, I get 0. So I'm left with a square a quadratic. X squared plus 2x plus 3. Not factorable. So I'm going to do negative 2 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus 4 times 1 times 3 all over 2. That's going to give me negative 2 plus or minus. Let's see, that's going to be 4 minus 12, so that's negative 8 all over 2. And the negative 8 I need to simplify. That's going to become negative 2 plus or minus 2i radical 2 over 2. And then that's going to become negative 1 plus or minus I radical 2. So again, my zeros are 2 and negative 1 plus or minus I radical 2, but I have to write it in factored form as well. My factors are x minus 2. And then remember, I have to do the distributive property. Okay, so I can simplify both of these. So there's going to become x minus 2 and x plus 1 minus I radical 2 and x plus 1 plus I radical 2. Okay, next slide. So now we're working backwards. I'm giving you information. I'm telling you that I want you to find a polynomial with a degree of 2 and a 0 at 2i. So if 2i is a 0, negative 2i is automatically a 0 because complex solutions appear in pairs, plus and minus. So that must mean my factors are x plus 2i and x minus 2i. So when I distribute, I'm going to get x squared. Middle term cancels out. I'm going to get negative 4i squared, which is going to give me x squared plus 4. Because then remember the I squared is negative 1. Okay, here I want a degree 4, and I gave you, well, 0 is at negative 3i and 0. And 0 has a multiplicity of 2, so that means that's that, right? And the negative 3i, that also means positive 3i is a 0. So my factors are x plus 3i and x minus 3i. And when I multiply these, I'm going to get x squared plus 9, right? Then I can distribute my x squared, so that's going to give me x to the 4th plus 9x squared. And I have my 4th degree polynomial with a multiplicity of 2. So that would be here. That's the multiplicity of 2. Okay? And that is the last slide. So I'm going to post practice problems that are related to these 3 problems, and I would like you to complete those as well. So you need to submit your do now, you need to watch the video and complete the practice problems that relate to these 3 problems that I just went over in the video. Okay? And hopefully we'll Zoom tomorrow around 12 or 1. I hope. All right, bye.